The sprint to Election Day is now in full swing after Democrats wrapped up their convention last night.
And joining us now, Eddie Glaude, Princeton University professor and MSNBC contributor, and Tim Miller, writer-at-large at The Bulwark and former communications director for Jeb Bush's 2016 campaign. He's also an MSNBC political analyst.
Eddie, Vice President Harris's speech had such a different tone from Trump's speech at the RNC. Is this an entirely new race we're looking at?
Well, yes. It is, I think, for a number of different reasons. But I think the tone of her speech was more presidential. She kind of demonstrated that she's ready on day one. It felt more like a State of the Union speech as opposed to a campaign speech. And in so many ways, she was trying to signal to the broader electorate that she's not some strange, unknown element, right? I'm just like you, right? In some ways, tell her story. Introduce herself as a politician who's not this radical San Francisco liberal, but someone that Tim and his folk won't be scared of.
Tim, you said you felt pandered to. You felt like you were being talked to directly.
I did feel pandered to. Look, she was speaking to former Republicans. She was speaking to those Nikki Haley voters, I think, in a lot of ways.
Did she connect?
I think so. She said the word American or Americans 34 times last night. She said the word Democrat 0. She was talking about how America is the greatest country in the world, how America is the greatest story ever told. And these are these American exceptionalist themes that you heard at Republican conventions from 1980 to 2012. And so she managed to blend those themes, I thought, with kind of her progressive values and her story, right? Like, it wasn't just America's great, pound the chest, Hulk Hogan, right? It is America's great because of our diversity, because somebody like me, whose mom was an immigrant, could get here, that this can only happen here. So I thought that she did a nice job of, kind of blending those progressive values with some themes that are going to, and some policies even, that were going to appeal to the swing voters that are going to matter in Georgia.
I think this is a really important point. The flag, the notion of America, the flag is in her hands isn't a symbol for exclusion.
Right.
It becomes an idea for a representation of the America that she represents. Yeah. Right. So it's a kind of different way of inflecting Ellis Island. Right. So the flag in America can become hers and can become mine.
The whole concept, and she said it in different ways, but it was a thread, is that we all have an American dream. And that American dream can be achieved by people that are completely different in so many ways, but that share that same spirit and the determination to make a difference and to make this world a better place. Then their children will find a better country.
Right. America is more than an idea. I think this is something we need to understand. America is more than an idea. America is an argument. This is what Lonnie Bunch told me. And folks are making arguments all the time about how we ought to understand our relationship to each other. How do we imagine our obligation to each other? How do we imagine the full scope of the ideals that animate this fragile experiment? And I think she was standing on this.
And going back to the contrast with Trump, right? I think if you wanted to sum up the convention, what she and the other speakers were saying is, we like America as it is right now, and we want to make it a little bit better for people. We want to try to make people's lives better. They kind of hate America as it is right now, and they're happy to tear everybody apart as long as it makes Donald Trump's life better, right? Like, that's the contrast that they're trying to say, is that Donald Trump cares about himself and doesn't like the diverse America as it is. He wants to take us back to the America that they imagine it was in 1952.
Tim, can we talk strategy? Having, been on a campaign before, we have just 74 days left in this election cycle. What do each campaign need to do?
Yeah, well, the Harris campaign has to do two things at the same time, and they're sometimes in a little tension, right? She has to continue to motivate and energize the Democratic base, young voters, voters of color, get them excited. You saw this kind of naturally happen when she took over the party. And Megan Thee Stallion at the events, right? Like, so she's got to do all of that. Get on campus, make sure people are registered. She's got to do that at the same time that she also reaches out rhetorically, and this is what she did at the convention, to the voter I always keep in my eye is the person that voted for Brian Kemp, the conservative governor of Georgia, and Raphael Warnock in the midterm. That was about 15% of Georgia. She's got to talk to those voters by, contrasting with Trump on immigration, talking about her views on foreign policy and a broad middle-class economy. So she's got to do both those things at the same time, and I think that's kind of the challenge for her.
Tim, just your thoughts on the fact that she has been an integral part of the last 3.5 years in Washington, and many of the policies that have come out of the United States come out of the White House, right? So does she have a kind of a thread there
Yeah,
to
I don't
try
think so.
No,
We're not going back. I don't know. I'm interested in what Eddie thinks about this, actually, because look, there's a lot of baggage that comes along with being a woman and a black person, like the first baggage. The one thing that actually kind of helps her is that she just doesn't feel like she's a continuation of Biden. Like, because of her identity. Even though she was his vice president, I think that she has this ability to say, no, actually, there's more of a connection between Biden and Trump. There was an 8-year period that everybody's sick of, and we want to move forward from that.
How does she do that, though?
You've seen it all week. She didn't get bogged down in saying, you could have imagined a convention speech that was like, the economy's doing better, crime is down, and like going through all these stats. Biden was doing that, being very defensive. She didn't. She barely talked about the last 4 years. She talked about her agenda about how to make things better.
What are your thoughts on
She
that?
has the benefit that every time she enters a room, she actually embodies the possibility of who we can be. Right? And then on top of that, she's had the benefit of Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. So we've already had our first black president. We've already had the first a woman nominee. So she doesn't have to play on those things. She just embodies it. So there's already built-in possibility. So last night, she didn't mention the fact that she was a woman of color, or that she was, black, or however, or all of these things. It didn't come up. She just went straight policy in interesting sorts of ways.
That didn't come up, but there was all kind of symbolism there, and all the speeches that led up to it. There was a lot of referencing about the historic nature, but the day of her speech specifically came on the 60th anniversary of Fannie Lou Hamer's DNC speech about voting rights and representation. So if you think about, from 64 to 2024, how much have things changed and how much has stayed the same?
You think about it, 1881, Atlanta washerwoman labor strike. You think about 1920, the 19th Amendment. You think about 1965, the Voting Rights Act. You think about 1972, Shirley Chisholm's campaign. You think about 1974, the moment when women could actually take out loans without a male cosigner. So the idea of women being involved in the body politic outside of some domestic, this is a 20th century phenomenon. And so now here in 2024, a black woman, a woman of color, a woman of South Asian descent, actually is the nominee of a major party. Given the historical arc I've just described, whether she acknowledges or not, she's framed by that journey.
Eddie Glaude and Tim Miller, thank you both so much for being with us this morning. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.